this time around.
Just behind us here, you can see a massive burn scar. There's no more smoke, no more fire, but there's still a danger. And that's why there are lines of firefighters right now with cutting tools like chainsaws and axes, clearing all the brush, making sure there's no fuel in case those winds pick up and carry embers.
We were with CAL FIRE as they worked to clear brush before those dangerous winds hit burn zones.
So you're worried about this area because there's still brush here and it's so close to those homes right there.
That's correct.
Firefighters lined up on cliffs, scaling canyons, and on the lookout.
They're putting their lives on the line to get out in front of something that most people wouldn't get in front of.
Over the weekend, California's National Guard dropping flame retardant on hot spots in the Palisades fire. After flare-ups forced new evacuations in Encino and Brentwood, triggering this eerie fire-nado. The Eaton and Palisades fire still mostly uncontained, with speculation on the origins of the infernos running rampant. The ATF now leading a newly formed task force to investigate the cause of the Palisades fire, as multiple law enforcement sources tell NBC News that a possible human cause is an early focus in this case.
They're identifying cause and origin for each of these separate fires. There's so many of them. None have been ruled out of arson.
The death toll has now reached 24 and expected to rise.
The wildfires in Los Angeles have shook not only the city but the entire country, causing destruction in their wake. These are not your typical fires. They have transformed into terrifying forces that are tearing through neighborhoods, devouring over 40,000 acres of land and destroying over 12,000 structures to ash. Over 105,000 residents have been forced to evacuate, and another 87,000 are bracing for the worst. Despite the staggering scope of this disaster, some of Hollywood's most well-known figures have been struggling with sadness and loss while maintaining the fortitude to go on.
That was her refrigerator. This is where she would be.
Her granddaughter looking for her remains in what's left of her home.
Mama D, are you here?
Officials today urging residents to stay out of evacuation zones.
People are saying, I just want to go look at my house and I want to see what's left. We know that, but we have people literally looking for the remains of your neighbors.
Law enforcement in the region announcing more than 70 arrests, including looting and burglary charges. The FBI says unauthorized drones over the fire zones are now well into the double digits as they search for the drone pilot that crashed into a Canadian super scooper last week, grounding the aircraft for days. Today, the Los Angeles Unified School District reopened most of its 1,000 campuses, giving students some return to normalcy.
I've been pretty scared coming here, but I feel, but as long as the doors are open, I feel safe.
Schools damaged by the fires or inside the evacuation zones remain closed, with tens of thousands pushed from their homes, now forced to start over. One estimate says the insured losses are already at least $30 billion.
Right now, I'm trying to just keep it together to find us a place to live for us, temporary living for our family and my parents.
Andrea Heindel lost her family home, as did her parents.
How tough is it?
It is tough. There's millions of people looking at millions of different places, and so we just have to figure out one step at a time how we're going to handle it.
And with the winds bringing the possibility of new fires and destruction just like this, some homeowners plan to take matters into their own hands. Once again, Gotti Schwartz tonight with their stories.
We're gonna help you!
For days, so many across Los Angeles faced off against apocalyptic wildfires. Some homeowners defying the evacuation orders, choosing to protect their properties amid the hellscape.
She wrote about the memories connected to those places, and even in her loss, she expressed gratitude for her loved one's safety. It's a bittersweet reminder that in the face of destruction, people cling to what really matters. Thus shared an emotional post about her home. The main structure miraculously survived, but it's no longer livable. The garage back house and her husband's music studio all reduced to ashes.
Sprinklers, hoses, generators, pumps, and tonight facing new red flag warnings, some Angelenos say they are preparing for round two. In wealthy enclaves, rows of water trucks and private firefighters standing at the ready.
And right here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different water trucks. There's another 3 down the way.
Those in the evacuation zones who lived to tell the tale of how they saved their streets say they did what they could with high-pressured hoses.
So we were in all of our neighbors' backyards and lugging our hoses around.
In Altadena, Felipe Carrillo saving 2 houses on his street with a garden hose.
I caught on fire a couple of times.
You caught on fire?
Yes, and so what I started doing is every once in a while I would just spray myself with the garden hose. Just soak myself with the garden hose and continue to fight.
Fire officials say those who stay to fight the fire are putting their lives at risk. 66-year-old Victor Shaw died in the Eaton fire. His remains found holding a garden hose. Right along the coast, owners of this row of homes had their own fire hoses ready and some willing to risk their lives.
There's another hot spot that just started up. So we're hooking up our fire hoses again to put it down before the wind starts again.
When the fire rolled in, Clayton Colbert and his friends stood their ground, tapping into the hydrant and saving 6 homes.
Do you have any firefighting experience? I mean,
I do now.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened if you and your neighbors weren't here?
Oh, my house would have been gone in a matter of minutes.
Tonight, Steve Foster's home is still standing, but most of the surrounding community is gone.
It's been difficult, but we're getting through it.
Would you leave?
I'm not leaving. I've been here the whole time. I have no intentions of leaving until my neighbors are back.
And Tom, technically, it's a misdemeanor not to evacuate during the chaos, but it's not always enforced. However, firefighters say, bottom line, every moment during a firefight is precious. And if they have to be pulled off of a fire line to come save someone that is not supposed to be there, it not only jeopardizes their lives, but puts the whole community at risk. Tom?
Gotti Schwartz tonight for us in Malibu. Gotti, we thank you for that. And for those who have lost everything, another crisis has quickly emerged. Where will they find a new place to live? Here's Morgan Chesky.
We're going to find a house, I promise. I promise we'll find a house.
A promise for a new home. Ashley and Tim Palmatier are now fighting to keep amid a disaster that's ignited a citywide housing crisis. The family of 5, 6, including their pup Apollo, one of dozens, packing an open house. After watching flames approach, then engulf their beloved Palisades home.
Wednesday afternoon, we saw footage that our entire neighborhood had burned down.
With more than 12,000 structures destroyed and potentially more to come, the demand for LA's rental market exploding overnight.
You call and you're like, hey, can I come see it? And they're like, nope, it's rented. You call another one. Hey, can I come see it today? Nope, it's rented already. So
Ashley says she's looked into 50 properties over the last several days.
In some cases, people driving hours just to find a home.
Yes.
LA realtor Tanya Stosky says fewer options are already leading to price gouging.
We have greedy landlords who are spiking up the prices, and we also have a bidding war as well.
He called the experience emotional, a word that doesn't even begin to convey the weight of such a loss, but he acknowledged the shared grief of so many others, demonstrating a sense of solidarity during his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. Imagine sitting miles away wondering if your home still stands only to return and find nothing but ashes.
Information is also spreading, just as Facebook has decided to stop fact-checking and go to community notes, I guess they're calling it. Donnie O'Sullivan takes a look at some of the misinformation that's out there right now.
California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things.
Mel Gibson on Fox News primetime after losing his home in the California fires.
And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire.
This is an obvious land grab. They get them out of their homes this way, and then they can build whatever they want to build.
From the common refrain that it's all part of a government plot.
This is siege by design.
To suspected AI-generated video and images falsely showing the fires approaching the iconic Hollywood sign. Fact-checkers working for Meta have been debunking some of the misinformation on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey everyone.
But last week, Mark Zuckerberg announced this.
We're going to get rid of fact-checkers and replace them with community notes
replacing fact-checkers with community notes, a form of crowdsourced fact-checking that is used on X. But critics say Zuckerberg shouldn't be trying to emulate X, pointing to viral misinformation on that platform that goes unchecked. Like this post, viewed almost 500,000 times, basically claiming DARPA, a wing of the Department of Defense, started the fires.
I'm here with the fire command team at the Palisades fire.
Indeed, X's owner, Elon Musk, has spent the last week elevating conspiracy theories about the fires.
What about water availability?
Responding to a post from disgraced conspiracy theorist Alex Jones that the fires are part of a globalist plot, Musk responded, "True."
Antonio Sullivan joins us now. In a situation like this, I mean, it always happens, but it seems particularly acute right now.
Absolutely. And look, one of the big issues, particularly which we saw last year with hurricanes Helene and Milton, and also before that the Maui wildfires, is that a lot of this misinformation makes people who need support from government agencies, whether it be local agencies or FEMA, distrust. That's something we particularly saw after the hurricanes. We're seeing less of that here right now, but what we are seeing is, and of course, look, there is a political debate to be had about the policies here in California, but it has gone beyond that. We have seen the president-elect coming in with just straight-up false claims about policies here. And then, of course, Elon Musk, the owner of X, as you saw in that piece there, engaging with really wild conspiracy theories in terms of that this is a planned event. It's not. But also then really leaning into this sort of culture war stuff about DEI, diversity and inclusion policies and everything else like that. So it's really just a pretty toxic stew online right now. And on top of that, we're seeing changes at Meta coming soon with removing these fact checkers.
Antonio Sullivan, thanks
for Mel Gibson, the lost hit while he was away. Appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience, imagine sitting miles away, wondering if your home still stands, only to return and find nothing but ashes. He called the experience emotional, a word that doesn't even begin to capture the weight of such a loss. Yet, he acknowledged the shared grief of so many others, showing a sense of solidarity during such a trying time.
Very much.
Captain Eric Scott, he is the Public Information Officer for the Los Angeles Fire Department. And Captain, it's great to have you back. Obviously, you've been joining us in these touch-and-go situations. I know y'all are very busy, so you're joining us on the phone tonight. We've been talking about these red flag warnings that are now in place through Wednesday evening. What is your biggest concern about that tonight?
The wind is king. It always has been, and we saw it be so devastating last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we've been getting breaks, and then she comes back, and it's been very difficult. So the area of major concern for the Palisades burn perimeter remains the northeast area in Mandeville Canyon. It's a lot of homes, very narrow hairpin turns that we had to proactively enact parking restrictions to keep vehicles out of areas that turn to choke points in case there's additional evacuations. But right now we got a lot of firefighters lined up there, and our air assets are continuing to do a wonderful job.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at live pictures right now in LA. This is from KCAL and KCBS. You're showing firefighters trying to contain a fire. I mean, you can see how close it is to a neighborhood on this map as we're looking at this. Mm-hmm. The biggest concern we've heard is new fires starting as a result of this warning, but this particularly dangerous situation warning that is so rare. If they do, are you prepared for that?
Yes, we've battled these PDS incidents in the past, particularly dangerous situations, but they are significant. We take them very seriously. So we have a ton of resources here, over 5,000 firefighters that remain on scene, and we have over 40 helicopters that are assigned. We have a very large contingency of fixed wing, including C-130s from National Guard that's here, very large DC-10. So some of these will drop water on target hazards to protect property. Others will be more defensive and drop retardant to stop the flames at what we call the 3 Rs, the roads, rivers, and ridges. So they're doing a wonderful job, and we continue to expect night operations to continue.
Are you worried that the winds could get so bad, though, that those aerial flights have to stop again, which was, of course, the issue at the beginning of these fires?
Yeah, that's more of a worst case scenario. If that happens, it makes so much more difficult to stop the flame front. So I was talking to our chief pilots today, and some of the thresholds are at 40 miles per hour, but at the ridges, it could be cut even in half. It's really up to the discretion of the chief pilot. The main thing on their mind is safety, of course, safety for their members. If that aircraft goes down, now you have loss of life and it can't do anything. Plus, if the wind is so significant, the water dropping out of the bottom is vaporized, the target's not hit. So we have to consider that. But right now, again, we're really proud to say that boots are on the ground and the birds are in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable what we're looking at now to see how close these firefighters are to this fire. This is in Riverside, California, that we're watching right now. I mean, and obviously dealing with a lot of the brush there and vegetation. I mean, one, this is just amazing to watch. I know
Of recollections, although losing a home was heartbreaking, his words served as a reminder to everyone that in the end, people's lives are what really count. He noted that although homes and possessions may be restored or replaced, losing a home is difficult. It is devastating to lose a home to a wildfire, but losing a home to a wildfire without insurance is fatal.
Losing a home is hard. Losing a home to a wildfire is heartbreaking. But losing a home to a wildfire without insurance, that is life-shattering. And in Los Angeles, it is a grim reality. LA is battling devastating fires. Yet just months ago, thousands had their insurance cancelled. Why is that? Why are so many homes in LA uninsured? To understand that, let's look at State Farm. State Farm is a major US property insurance provider. It is also the biggest insurer in the region. In Los Angeles, in this place alone, State Farm covers around 250,000 homes, 250,000 homes. But here's the problem. Last year, State Farm began pulling back. It cancelled 30,000 insurance policies. In Pacific Palisades, 1,600 policies were dropped. Now, this neighborhood has around 9,000 residential units. The median value of a house is around $3.1 million, so it is an expensive neighborhood. And this matters because now these expensive homes have been gutted. Pacific Palisades is one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. It's been nearly wiped out, so all those expensive homes are gone without an insurance cover. And State Farm is not the only one. Other major insurers are also stepping away, leaving thousands of people vulnerable in wildfire-prone areas. Between 2020 and 2022, insurers refused to renew 2.8 million policies. 2.8 million. Over 500,000 were in Los Angeles. Those who did not get their policies cancelled had it even harder. Let me show you this report from the LA Times. One homeowner initially paid $4,500 for insurance. But at the time of renewal, the renewal of the policy, he was given a new quote, this time for $18,000. That was the new insurance amount, $18,000, almost 4 times what he had initially paid. So it is between the devil and the deep blue sea, either cancelled insurance or exorbitant rates. What explains this trend? In recent years, insurance companies have changed the way they work. Most of them use sophisticated modeling and even artificial intelligence. They can map out the risks of wildfires. Usually, insurance companies cannot cancel policies arbitrarily, but if the risk rises significantly, policies can be dropped. And climate change has increased the risk of fires. So in Los Angeles, policies were dropped like flies. From a company's point of view, the idea was to maximize profits. They don't want...
Eric Breeden, known to millions for his role in The Young and the Restless, faced a similar nightmare. He evacuated just in time, but walking through the rubble of his home left him in sheer disbelief. "It's all burnt down, man," he said, his words carrying the weight of countless others who have seen their lives turn to ash in a matter of hours.
They want to pay for damages. They don't want to bear the cost of disasters like the current wildfires in Los Angeles. Take State Farm, for example. In 2022, its losses were $6.7 billion. In 2023, it was around $6.3 billion. So scaling back policies meant fewer losses. But where does this leave the residents? Many of them had only one resort, the FAIR Plan, FAIR. It stands for Fair Access to Insurance Requirements. FAIR is funded by California's private home insurers. It offers only limited coverage, yet thousands of people opted for it. In 2020, 1.4 million residents depended on FAIR. That number went up to 2.7 million in 2023. So more and more people are resorting to this insurance. And this has left the insurer in trouble. It faces a potential loss of $311 billion. All of this raises one question: what could Los Angeles have done better? For one, insurance policies need a complete overhaul. It's not just about mandating coverage. It is about balancing risks and responsibilities. Insurers should be incentivized to stay in wildfire-prone areas. Governments must have risk-sharing mechanisms so that the financial burden does not fall on one party. California seems to have realized it now, the hard way. The state now mandates insurers to provide coverage in wildfire-prone areas. This is a new regulation. It aims to give residents access to more insurance options. Of course, it's a step in the right direction, but is it too late? For homeowners who've already lost everything, it is late. But for the rest, it could provide a lifeline. Because when homes burn, it is not just property, it is lives and futures at stake.
And then there's Paris Hilton, who experienced something even more harrowing watching her Malibu home burn down on live television. Can you imagine sitting with your family, helplessly witnessing flames consuming everything you hold dear? She described it as heartbreaking beyond words, but like many others, she found solace in the safety of her loved ones and pets.
The number of people killed has risen to 16, and a dozen are missing after 5 days of these devastating fires. The two biggest blazes in the city remain largely uncontained, and more strong winds are forecast over the coming days. Now, those two fires have destroyed an area more than twice the size of New York's Manhattan. No cause has yet been established for these fires, and firefighters have made some progress against the worst of the infernos, the Palisades fire, which has scorched nearly 35 square miles. And it's described as being 11% contained. Now, that basically means that barriers or fire breaks have been placed around 11% of its perimeter. And the Palisades fire is now threatening Brentwood. That's one of LA's most exclusive neighborhoods, where celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the basketball star LeBron James have their homes. There have also been dramatic scenes of aircraft dropping thousands of gallons of fire retardant on the hills and the scrub. It's all in an attempt to put out the blazes. But if the winds do pick up, it will be harder to get those aircraft and the helicopters into the air. More than 12,000 homes and other buildings have been destroyed so far. The second biggest blaze is the Eaton fire, and it's destroyed more than 20 square miles, and it was described as being 15% contained. Firefighters have mostly contained two smaller blazes, the Kenneth and the Hearst fires. However, the National Weather Service is warning that the Santa Ana winds that whipped up the fires at the outset could increase again over the weekend and also in the next coming few days. 7 neighbouring states, the federal government, Canada and also Mexico have sent resources to California. Well, our first report comes from Helena Humphrey, who is in LA.
Still the fires grow, hungry and unrelenting, as firefighters remain locked in a battle against nature's fury. From the sky, it's an all-out assault to keep the largest of these deadly wildfires in the Pacific Palisades from spreading any further, bombarding the flaming hills with water and fire retardant. Meanwhile, on the ground, the National Guard is out in force. A nighttime curfew is in effect to clamp down on those profiting from the chaos.
A lot of crime, a lot of people trying to steal things, but if you protect yourself and your family, I mean, I have to be there to protect my wife, my son, my kids, my mom, and I cannot even go and see them. I've been in the street for 3 days. Luckily, my sister lived on the street, or else I'd end up in the street.
But this unprecedented crisis is also bringing out the best in humanity. At a local shelter in Pasadena, volunteers are caring for more than 450 animals, dropped off by evacuees, all found wandering amid the destruction. Others who escaped with only the clothes on their backs are desperately searching for the beloved pets they lost in the scramble to get out.
Survivors here have lost everything, entire homes reduced to rubble. And with days of winds now forecast, it's a race against time to stop these fires from spreading further.
Los Angeles knows it needs all the help it can get. And with a change of administration looming in Washington, local officials say they've yet to hear from the incoming president.
I wrote a letter to President-elect Trump inviting him to engage in wildfire recovery.
Cary Elwes, the charming star of The Princess Bride, also lost his home. He described the experience as biblical, a testament to the sheer chaos and enormity of the disaster. The evacuation was a frantic blur, but his gratitude for his family's safety shone through the tragedy.
Recovery efforts, and to visit the county to see the impact firsthand that it has on every socioeconomic individual in this county.
For now, it is all hands on deck. Firefighting crews have arrived from across the United States, with Mexico and Canada sending in battle-tested teams of their own. They know that any pickup in the now notorious Santa Ana winds.
Celebrities and regular people alike are rising up to put their sorrow into action and demonstrate that there is light even in the darkest moments. Let's keep that light shining as we all move forward.